first recipient is Dale Kensinger. Dale is, I think, pretty well known to at least a large segment of our community. He was at the Low-Income Taxpayer Clinic as its director at the University of Missouri, Kansas City for a very long time. He's held numerous positions prior to that with the Internal Revenue Service, including Assistant District Counsel when they had those. He's got a BA from Juniata College and a JD from the University of Pennsylvania Law School and LLM from the University of Missouri. He has been snagged, is what I would say the word is, by Keith Fogg to join him as a volunteer with a mere 500 hours a year commitment at the relatively new Harvard Federal Tax Law Clinic. So that's where Dale is these days. And if you want to come on up on the stage at least. The second recipient, and I'm going to be all over the page here because her original bio was a bit out of date, is Catherine Sato. Catherine retired in 2016 after 37 years as the director of the tax clinic and being a professor at the University of Minnesota. And then she did a little bit of a stint at the University of Michigan where she taught tax procedure and supervised that tax clinic. She has her BA in economics and a JD from the University of Michigan. She practiced in Ann Arbor for 3 years before she joined the University of Minnesota faculty, where she founded the clinic in 1981. I will say that I have known Catherine through the low-income taxpayer groups here for quite some time, and she's one of the most prolific of the directors of low-income taxpayer clinics, taking extraordinary low-income taxpayer cases and making law with them, which has always been a little kind of sidelight of mine, so I'm always happy to see somebody else doing it, including the more recent Ibrahim case, which was recently adopted by the tax court. So Catherine has a lot of legacy to leave behind her. And she says that she's now just practicing privately in Minnesota and relaxing a little bit. So I'm going to give, maybe a round of applause. And so I'm going to give each of them a chance to do this, and I just noticed, because nobody mentioned it to me, that there are these little things I'm supposed to give them. So Dale, your name is on this one, so I will give you this. Say congratulations.
I'll say just a few words. Thanks to the tax section for this great honor this afternoon. I very much appreciate it. And thanks also for all of the help the tax section does to tax clinics and the pro bono program generally. It's also appropriate to say a few thank yous to people who've supported me in this work. First, my wife, who I could not have committed the hours that I have to pro bono work without her support. I must also thank Professors Fogg and Professor Dan Nagan from Harvard, who are always supportive and helpful. And as Karen mentioned, I was at UMKC Law School for a long time, and there Professors Hood, Lupino, and Wiseman were also helpful. Probably the most important thing I can say up here, however, is to encourage you, when you get back to your cities, to contact the clinics or other pro bono programs in your area and provide your help and expertise to the individuals who contact those clinics. Usually they are persons who do not have access to adequate tax advice. As a result, they quickly become confused and bewildered and give up and lose tax benefits to which they may well be entitled. You may also, once in a while, find a case where you actually help a person put their life maybe on a different trajectory. I recall one situation where a person came in with an IRS notice denying earned income credit and some other benefits. After reviewing and investigating, the clinic determined that he was entitled to the benefits and An appropriate advocacy letter with documents were submitted to the IRS. In addition, it was found that he was entitled to the credit for some earlier years. The IRS allowed all of the claims for refund. He received what for him was a very substantial check, and he had hoped for a long time to buy a house, and he used that money to make a down payment on a modest home, enabling him to achieve his goal of becoming a homeowner. Obviously, most of the cases are not quite that dramatic, but for lower income people, even a few $100s can make a difference. So I encourage you to also volunteer for with your clinics in the area. And once again, I thank Karen and the ABA for this award.
You get to take this. Did you get yours? Yeah, you take this.
You get to take that home, Dale. Okay, Catherine, I got one for you too. Spelled your name right, I think.
Yes.
So please, feel free.
Thank you very much. It's actually with deep gratitude and humility that I accept this award. And thinking about my remarks today, I realized that I wouldn't be here, to paraphrase an old African proverb, if there wasn't a village that had supported me in my career throughout the years. The village is a very diverse group of people, and I want to take just a couple minutes to mention the members of my village that made this possible. First off, my family. With me today is my husband, Scott Beers, and without him these past 30 years, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. His presence, a loving presence, and his support made this all possible. Also with me today is my son, Caden Cito, and my brother and sister-in-law, Ed and Sandra Cito. The second important part of my village was the University of Minnesota Law School. The staff and the administration and the faculty there provided me with the wherewithal, the ability to be able to represent the clients. I mean, and I had a great environment with which to work, and they supported me and my staff so that we could do the work that we did. The next part of my village is my students. And thinking about it, they worked just as hard as I did on these cases. And I wouldn't have been able to accomplish nearly as much if it had just been me. I really did have a great group of students over the years, many of whom have gone on to work in the low-income community, and I'm very pleased about that. The next part of my village is the section here. And in particular, the members of the low-income taxpayer community who I worked with and whose passion and dedication to this work is phenomenal. And without their encouragement and support, again, I don't think I could have accomplished everything that I needed to do. And finally, I want to mention you folks, the members of the section and the staff of the section. This section has supported pro bono work and pro bono efforts, and it's amazing to see how much has been accomplished as a result of the section's commitment. I mean, one part of the commitment is this award. There was also mentioned earlier the Brunswick Fellows, where the section allocates resources to support young lawyers to do pro bono work. And in addition, the section has funding for scholarships for legal aid attorneys to attend and to be able to participate. And if I have one small regret, is that I joined and got involved in the section mid-career as opposed to early career. And so I do encourage all my young students, up-and-coming lawyers, to get involved as early as possible. It enabled me to be able to, at a national level, work on policy issues that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do so. So, again, I'm incredibly grateful. I want to echo what Dale mentioned about the section members getting involved in pro bono work. It's deeply, deeply satisfying. And I guess the only other thing I can say is thank you. I'm very, very grateful for all your support throughout the years.
Congratulations, and thank you both.